All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to your whiteboard training. We're so excited to have you. My name is Ben Laughter. Once again, I am the Vice President of Customer Success and Operations here at Whiteboard, your personal guide here in helping you get the basics of your day-to-day usage of Whiteboard sort of integrated into your business. So I'm looking forward to today's session. We're going to cover some of my favorite topics, sort of looking under the hood of Whiteboard a little bit and understanding why and how some of the automation works. Having this baseline of understanding is going to help you make the most out of Whiteboard in the future as you come up with awesome, crazy, harebrained ideas and want to enact them within Whiteboard. It'll be helpful to have a baseline understanding of how things work in Whiteboard. So we're going to do that today. So we got a few more slides than we did last week, and then we're going to jump into the product itself, so you can sort of see these things live. But here's today's goals. Here's today's agenda. Number one, I want you to understand how and why campaign automation works. I want you to know why the campaigns create tasks and that you don't need to spend a whole bunch of time managing tasks either in Whiteboard or in a calendar somewhere. I want you to get a quick look at Whiteboard Mobile so that you'll be able to see the very, very near future. Hopefully this month here in March of 2019, you should have much of the functionality of Whiteboard in your hand. And then I want you to see, start to understand how information can get into Whiteboard automatically. I'm actually going to show that happening live so that you get an understanding of the result of this, the benefit of having automation for lead entry, and then you can start kicking around the ideas of, well, where does my information come from? If I'm going to type something into the CRM, where did I get it? And wherever we can automate stuff, I want you to be thinking about that. Let's automate it, right? Automate all that is automatable. So before we dive in too deep today, though, I do want to reinforce this difference. What we talked about on Monday and what your daily use is going to be is the left side of the screen. Logging in every day, that's easy. Updating information and forms, that's easy. And then just doing the tasks, either the ones that you create manually or, of course, the ones that the Playbook Whiteboard creates for you automatically. You do those three things, you're going to be very, very successful with Whiteboard. Everything on the right side of the screen is not daily use. We're going to cover some of this today just to demystify, just so you understand it isn't magic, it's cold hard math and science. But the right side of the screen is, if you're an administrator, you'll be working in this stuff more often. But if you're a daily user, a loan officer, an LOA, a processor, what have you, a member of an LO team using Whiteboard as your CRM, you're almost never going to play on the right side of the screen. But it's still important for you to understand sort of what's going on within Whiteboard to make everything work. So with that in mind, let's jump in. I've created some graphics here that I hope will help illustrate the points before we get into Whiteboard and look at how Whiteboard has put this into action. So how do campaigns work? Well, let's start by defining what a campaign is. A campaign is essentially a series of things that happen. We call that an action. And so when something happens, I'm going to refer back to an example several times as we go along here. In fact, two examples. A new lead just appeared, or an appraisal just came in, right? Two things that happen at different stages during the process, of course, but they're both triggering events. They're both catalysts. They prompt you to go do things. When that appraisal comes in, think about your own personal manual process right now, and I'll approximate it real quickly for everybody. When the appraisal comes in, you're going to send a text or an email or a phone call or some combination of all of them to the buyer, to the co-borrower, to the real estate agent on both sides, the selling and buying agent. If this is a new construction and there's a builder and a builder sales rep involved, you're probably contacting them. So I would bet you hard money that you've got some template stored, or an email that you always go look up and find, or a Word document with the verbiage, something like that, that you're copying and pasting every single time an appraisal comes in, and then just sending several emails, right? I hope that sounds familiar, because that's what I'm going to fix for you. But I want you to think about that as an example. An appraisal just came in, and so I want to send a text or I want to send an email immediately. A new lead came in, so I want to send a text or an email immediately. And then tomorrow I want to be reminded, I want to make a phone call and send another email, but to a different person. And then next week, I want to send another email or send a text or remind my LOA to do a data entry. task. Quick example there. Let's say you just funded a loan. That's our triggering event, right? We just funded a loan. And so now someone needs to update the address on the client record so that we don't accidentally send flowers or a housewarming gift to the old address that they just vacated. And so if I want to set myself up a task for next week to make sure someone does that before we send the housewarming gift, then these are the sorts of things that I want you to start thinking about campaign automation doing for you. This is what the playbook's designed to do. So let's take these generic terms and give them specific loan origination terms. I want to text the borrower immediately when something happens. I want to email the refer immediately when something happens. I want to call the borrower. I want to email the selling agent because something happened yesterday, right? So I want that to happen tomorrow, right? So next week, I want to text the refer. I want to remind my LOA to do a data entry task, right? So we're starting to take these abstract concepts, send a text, and starting to overlay into that the who and the when, right? When something happens, when that triggering event happens, text the borrower, text the buying agent, text the builder, text the CPA, whatever the case may be. So that triggering event is really, really important because obviously the automation can only happen when it's kicked into gear, right? You have to start the car to drive it. And so what starts the car? Well, remember the second key to success, right? Logging in every day, updating information in form fields, and then completing tasks. That second one, when you update information in form fields, that's almost always the trigger, okay? When there's a checkbox that I'm going to show you in the forms for when the appraisal has been received. When you check that box and hit save, that's the trigger. The appraisal campaign takes over. So I'm going to show you how that works. Let's give you a couple examples, though, first of some of the types of triggers, right? Things to think about in the real world loan origination process. A new lead came in from my website or from Zillow or Homes.com or OpCity or referral lead or whatever. An appraisal came in. I mentioned I'm going to beat that one to death. That's a good example. I got the application just now from the customer. They filled out the 1003. The loan's been funded. I mentioned an example of that a moment ago, how that's a useful trigger to have. And how about the borrower? This is a terrible one, but it's a real world situation. The borrower has bad credit. What should I do next? How do I maintain a relationship with someone who I told I can't help right now, right? Well, we've thought a lot of that through, and so I want to show you that. So what the campaigns are doing are answering the other half of the question here, right? If the trigger is saying what happened, then the campaign is saying, well, here's what I want to go do. A new lead came in, well, I want to text the borrower. An appraisal came in, I want to email the selling agent. I got the application, well, I want to email the refer, right? You can kind of start to see how these things are happening, and the fact that you can have cadences built out over time, where it isn't just a single action for a single triggering event. The fact is you can have a host of actions. And I'm going to show you specifically there the appraisal, the lead, and the credit repair campaigns to illustrate. So let's jump into Whiteboard real quickly and take a look. Excuse me. So this is getting familiar for you by now, I would hope. I would hope at this point that you've logged into Whiteboard and kicked around a bit and created some test records and whatnot. So you're starting to get used to this launching point to the dashboard here. But what I want to show you real quickly is how to get to campaigns. Now I should clarify, depending on your role within the team, you may not be able to follow along here. The LO or administrators or owners or whatever your organizational structure is may have made decisions to restrict certain pieces of access from certain folks. And if that ends up being a challenge for you to help with your role, then get in touch with us, get in touch with your boss, and we'll come together and figure out the best way to mix that up. But in the meantime, I'm going to assume that you have access, and I'm going to ask you to watch me go up here to this menu on the right-hand side and click it. And before I move on to the campaigns section here, I want to point something out. When we talk about that left side, right side, right, I'll go back to the deck here. When we talk about daily use versus administration, for most of you, daily use happens right up here at the top. I want to get inside of a contact record, or I want to look at a mortgage in my pipeline, or I want to have a texting conversation with someone, or I need to accomplish a task. That daily use stuff is all right there across the top, right? I want to search for Nathaniel, the fake agent we were talking about the other day, right? So your daily use stuff is in this navigation bar across the top. For the administration side, for building campaigns, creating content, that kind of stuff, that stuff lives over here. So for most of you, most of the time, you're never going to need to go to this 3-line menu. So it's great that you know where it is. I want to demystify this automation, but know that you're probably going to forget this little menu even exists for most of your day-to-day. Now, we want to go look at campaigns. So I'm going to go down here and click on campaigns under the marketing section. Now, we talked on Monday about how there's an inherent difference in the way that you talk to a person, a client or a partner, as opposed to the way you talk to that same person about a sales opportunity, meaning a mortgage, right? And so because of that, if you recall, we break information out in 3 types: client information, partner information, and mortgage information, right? Your birthday isn't on a mortgage form, that's on a client form, because a person has a birthday. A mortgage has an interest rate. And so we take that and break it out in the campaigns as well. So birthday texting, Christmas emails, Easter emails, whatever, all of these are relational in nature, these campaigns, right? So it's always asking, is it this person's birthday? And if so, send them a text message, send them an email, right? Same thing for partners, but a little bit more robust. We know that partnerships are at the absolute heart of what makes a successful LO successful. And so you'll see here that we have all the holiday stuff living in here, but also call cadence stuff. I think I showed you on Monday how to set a reminder within the form, within the partner form. I want to make sure I call Jose every Monday. I want to call George every month, right? Or every 2 weeks. I showed you how to set those in the partner forms. Well, this is the back-end logic that you never have to go mess with that manages how that happens. Okay, and we've already built this for you. Now, for the mortgage stuff, all of that lives over here in the mortgage campaigns. Let me go here. There we go. Needed to expose them all. So you can see here that we've written mortgage campaigns that run the gamut, all the way from the very first 30 days of a lead, the brand new lead coming in from some outside source, whether you typed it in manually or if we help you automate it in from your website or whatever, to prospects, which if you recall, that's just a lead that was referred to you. Applications, pre-qualifications, the milestones during that application phase, funded, canceled, credit repair, refinancing, right? We have written campaign logic for every possible step of the process. So let's think about one of our triggers from earlier. A new lead comes in. Well, here we have the first 30 days lead campaign, and I'm just going to jump into this one real quickly as a quick example. And I'm going to go to the Actions tab. And so the idea here is in fact, I'm going to open up a mortgage record here to illustrate something real quickly. If I go into this mortgage record, the number one field, the most important field, and we covered this somewhat last week, was this pipeline sequence field. When you select lead and hit save, and that's all you've done, or if we're bringing something in automatically that automatically selects lead, right, when this record is initially created, all you've done on the form is that, okay? You've not gone to the campaign, you've not had to create a task, you don't need to go to the campaign to make sure that Glenn here is inserted into it. All you've done is click lead, okay? When you do that, the campaign's always asking this question: is the mortgage pipeline sequence equal to lead? Well, simply put, yes, it is. In this case, yes, it is, right? This is a lead. And so the campaign sees that. It's always listening, always asking that question. And the second it sees that it's yes, this is a lead, then it kicks off this series of actions, this sequence of events on an intervaled cadence. Okay, so let's read some of these like a sentence, right? That way, again, it's just really easy. So when you go mark something as a lead and they get inserted into this campaign, a lead alert notification goes out via email within 1 minute to the loan officer. So that means you get notified, right? Also, a task entitled Make a New Lead Intro Call is created in 1 minute also for the loan officer. So you're the LO, a new lead just appeared in your system, and now you've got a new task that's saying, hey, call this new lead, Glenn, right? You've also gotten an email notification in case you're not in Whiteboard at that particular moment saying, you've got a new lead, his name's Glenn, give him a call, right? So now you've got 2 promptings, to make this phone call. And on top of all that, while you're reacting to a new lead, Whiteboard's being proactive for you regarding that new lead. And so an email called Meet Your Loan Expert, an email is sent out during that same minute to the borrower, and if there is one, a co-borrower, right? And the one that we pre-wrote, you've got it already, it's included with your Whiteboard, looks like this. And if you've got an online, this is going to go to our website, but if you've got an online application, then we'll have this linked for you to where when they click here or the apply now in your signature, it's going to take you to your online application, right? I guess we don't have the link set up in our test environment. Your phone number is going to be merged in here. You don't need to go through and create this. I've done it for you. We've done it for you, okay? So within 1 minute of a new lead coming in, you've been notified in 2 different ways. The client's also gotten an email. On top of that, there's a companion campaign to this for those of you who purchase texting that also sends a text message out in that first minute too. So we've already touched the customer 2 times and touched you 2 times to try to get this conversation started. Now, let's say that initial phone call doesn't result in an application. That's popular enough, it's common enough. You can see here that we've mapped it out to where another phone call is scheduled for the 2-hour mark and the 4-hour mark. You don't have to make all these, but we're going to prompt you with tasks. If 2 days later you still don't have an application in, meaning you haven't toggled this from lead to something else, then 2 days later the borrower and co-borrower get another email. Let's get started, right? Again, it's prompting them, it's driving them to go to your website and fill out an application. And you can see that this story continues on for 30 days, right? Emails, calls, and again, there's a companion texting campaign here. I think the texting campaign touches them around 7 times throughout that first 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. But you get the idea that we've mapped out 30 days worth of relatively aggressive touches. So what happens at the end of 30 days, right? At the end of 30 days, they still have not filled out an application. We know that because you have not changed this from lead to something else. If they had filled out an application, you'd have moved them on to pre-qual, but you haven't at this point. It's 30 days later. And so notice here that we have a long-term lead, both for texting and for not texting, campaign in place that takes over, and it's just much less aggressive. So I'll open this one up. Notice here that it's monthly touches. Email them at 2 months, email them at 3 months, make a phone call at 3 months, make a phone call at 6 months, make a phone call at 9 months, right? New lead comes in, I'm going to help you stay in touch with them for a solid year. And that's assuming they never once get back to you with any kind of follow-up, right? So let's get back to the how real fast. How did that happen? This field is lead, and you hit save. You never moved it from that field, and so it stays here until the end of that 12 months. And then at that point, we kind of consider it a cold lead. You can reinsert them at that point, right? We can make decisions as to what to do with a lead after 12 months. Is it ever really cold? We can come up with ways to answer that question that are particular to your business. But we've pre-created the environment for 30 days out. Let's talk about that appraisal received one real fast. I'm going to filter here by appraisal. And I'm going to look at the appraisal received campaign, and you'll see how it's really, really similar. Let me go back to the record here. So all you are going to do as a loan officer or an LOA or whatever your role is you're going to, in the mortgage at the appropriate time, when it actually happens, of course, go down and simply click appraisal received, save. You're done. You're finished using Whiteboard at that point, right? What Whiteboard's going to do on your behalf is always listen to that checkbox. Is the mortgage box contains appraisal received? Is that checked? Is what that's always asking? Well, yeah, it is. It is now. I just checked it. And so what happens? Well, within 1 minute, Let's read it like a sentence. A status update appraisal received is sent via email in 1 minute to the selling agent, buying agent, builder sales rep, builder, borrower, and co-borrower, right? And it simply says this: hey, John, hey, Jane, wanted to let you know that your appraisal has been received, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't have to be super detailed. And of course, you can make updates to this. If you want it to say something else, then no problem, guys. I'm going to edit the content, and here I'm given just a basic Microsoft Word editor where I can change what it says, right? And if I save that, then that's what it says going forward. So that's how that works. You can see that there's no tasks in this. The purpose of this campaign is to simply keep everybody in the loop. There's no phone calls you need to make because you've already sent an email. And by the way, you've already sent a text at this point too. If you have Whiteboard's texting capability, you've already done that. Let's take one more example. I mentioned credit repair when we were talking about triggers. So let's say you get off the phone with someone, they have filled out the application, you're excited, you're going to move them on to pre-qual, but it turns out that they've had some bad decisions in the past or had some poor luck, and for whatever reason, their credit score is below the threshold at which you can help them. So you want to help them get their credit score up, but at the moment, there's not much you can do, right? So you just sort of want to stay in touch, but you want staying in touch to be purposeful. You don't want to stay in touch just to stay in touch. There's nothing worse than a check-in call. When I hear someone say, whenever I hear one of my salespeople say, hey, I'm just checking in, that's a useless phone call. And it is for you guys too. You want to have a reason for the phone call. A check-in is a waste of everybody's time. So let's give you a reason, right? Glenn here has bad credit. So I'm going to pop him in credit repair and hit save. And that's all I've done. All right. Again, I'm done using Whiteboard. I can step away from the keyboard. Whiteboard on your behalf is always listening to that form field. We've got a campaign saying, okay, is it credit repair? Is it credit repair? Is the pipeline sequence credit repair? Then this campaign gets excited and all the rest go, oh, I don't have anything to do right now. And the credit repair one gets stoked because now it gets to do something, right? Well, what does it get to do? Well, kind of like with how we've mapped out the first year of a lead, we've mapped out 18 months worth of credit repair content. Okay, so the idea here is that one day, so nothing immediate, right? This is an unfortunate situation. This isn't an aggression situation. This is one where we need to be really cognizant of the feelings of our potential borrower here. And so we're sending them a message that says, don't give up, by email, one day after you mark the box, to the borrower and co-borrower. It looks like this. Unfortunately, we were unable to provide you with a mortgage at this time, et cetera, et cetera. Keep your head up, right? A week later, credit scores. Let's educate them. What do they not know about credit scores that we do? They're in bad credit, maybe because they don't understand how it works, right? And so we can send them some helpful information. Notice these subject lines over here. Sample dispute letters, right? Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they filed bankruptcy 9 years ago and somehow something is still showing up on their credit that shouldn't be, and they need to dispute it, right? So you're going to send them helpful instructions for 18 months automatically, and you don't have to do any of it. Whiteboard's doing it for you. The only thing you have to do is in 4 months, when Whiteboard prompts this call task, is to accomplish your tasks. So let's go back to the three keys, right? I've logged in. I've updated this as credit repair. 4 months later, a task is going to appear, and I'm going to make a phone call. 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. You do not ever need to go back here into this campaign and insert the person. You don't need to tell the campaign, hey, put this person on the credit repair track. All right, that's really old school. We're actively listening and automatically inserting them into the campaign. Okay, so one of my agenda items was understanding how tasks are created, and I hope that this gets you there. I want to make a credit repair follow-up call 4 months after I mark this as credit repair, right? That's all there is to it. If we go back to our graphics and we think about borrower has bad credit, what do I do next? Well, my trigger is I'm changing it from pre-qual or from application or from whatever it is, probably lead or prospect at this point. I'm changing it to credit repair, right? That's my trigger. That's what the campaign's looking for. So what do I want to do? I might want to, in this case, email them and call them at different cadenced moments, immediate, tomorrow, 4 months from now, whatever the case may be, right? So hopefully that illustrates this point here of understanding how and why campaign automation works. The emails are scheduled and sent automatically. The tasks are scheduled automatically. The only thing you've got to do is accomplish them, okay? So let's look in a little bit more detail at the actions themselves. And remember that the actions are the individual things that happen at particular intervals, right? At 1 day, at 7 months, at 13 months, and so on. So the what do I want to do part of this, so what happened is the trigger, that's the form field. The what do I want to do is what the campaign's doing for us, right? That's the action. So I want to send a text, I want to send an email, and I want to assign a task. Well, you saw already what that's sort of built up in, but I wanted to illustrate this for you to, again, just demystify how all this stuff works so that if you want to customize this later, you can do it. So what it needs is information. That's what you're providing. That's the trigger. This is credit repair. The appraisal's been received. This is a new lead. This was funded, right? When you pop something into the form, that's giving the action, the campaign, the information that it needs to act or to not act. The cadence is what it does when, right? That's this scripting out of saying, well, on the 14th month, send this. On the 11th month, send this. On the 8th month, remind me to make a phone call, right? So the cadence is when things are happening, when to do this action versus that action. The content is what it says. You saw me jump into edit content a minute ago. I'm going to pull up one more thing real quickly. All of this content that we create has a corresponding template. And so I'm going to go into the templates section here. Bear with me, there's a bunch of them. We got to load. I'm going to expand this to where it shows more of them. And you can see here that we've got call scripts set up for, weekly partner calls. Oops, I meant to go into preview, not edit. But we've got call scripts set up for weekly partner calls, where you can hand this off to your LOA. This would have the person's name on it, so hi, George, it's Ben with ABC Lending. I can't believe it's really been 6 months, etc. Right? So we've got templates for call scripts. We've got templates for emails, and we've got templates for texts. Notice all these texting templates. There's a lot of texting automation built into the playbook. Let's look at an example of it. Birthday. So a borrower's birthday comes along and they automatically get a text. This is the template for it. Hey, John, just want to take a moment to wish you happy birthday from your friends at, and of course, that's where your company name would be, from friends at ABC Lending, and it would be signed by you, not Whiteboard Sales Demo. We even put the emojis in there to tell a little story of the fact that it's their birthday. There's something similar to that for funded. There's something similar to that for the appraisal coming in or being clear to close. We've got templates for every action out in the campaign. And you noticed that there were a lot of campaigns, some of which have dozens and dozens of actions in them, right? And so if you ever want to create a new template because you want to slot in a new campaign action, or you've got an idea for a whole new custom campaign, you can simply come here and hit create content, right? I'll go ahead and click one and say, well, this is going to be a texting piece of content. I hit cancel instead of create. Regardless, it opens up that same editor you saw a minute ago where I can type things just like I'm using Microsoft Word and then save that. And when I go create the new template, I'm just grabbing when I go to create a new action in the campaign, I just grab that template, right? So pretty darn easy stuff. We're getting too far into the weeds though. I don't want to spend a bunch of time there. I just want you to know that it's all malleable. You can change it, you can edit it. We've got you an amazing head start, but you can put your own spin on this thing. You can add a 19th month. You can add additional recipients to who gets the appraisal received, right? You can change the cadence, the aggression of that first 30 days when a new lead comes in. So what's involved in, from current slide, what's involved in doing that action? Well, it's the information, the appraisal's been received. The cadence, I want to send a text to the borrower immediately, letting them know that the appraisal has been received. And the content, the actual words being sent. Hey, Alice, your appraisal just came in, right? Those three things come together to create a text or an email or a call reminder like that, right? So you've heard the term playbook a lot, and I haven't used it a ton during, I don't think, Monday or during this conversation. So what it is a combination of everything we just talked about. It's a combination of all the campaigns, of all the templates, of all the scripted actions, the cadence. It's asking the questions: what happened? What do I want to do? And when do I want to do it, right? And so that's the campaigns, the templates, the forms, and the assets that all come together to make that happen. And I want to point out too that those cadences, are in no way spray and pray mass marketing. I may have mentioned this on Monday, but I'm not sure, so I'll say it now. We all get those emails from Dillard's and JCPenney and Best Buy and so on that are telling us that a refrigerator is on sale right now, Best Buy says. They're so excited because this particular French door Samsung refrigerator is on sale. And there's some cross-section of people who get that email who happen to be in the market for that refrigerator right now. But if I just bought a refrigerator last month, then I'm probably not in the market for that refrigerator today, right? So there's a large cross-section of people who receive that email from Best Buy who are not really applicable, right? They're not a good audience right now. And so why send a single email right now to many, many people about one thing when you know that that's probably not going to be relevant to a large cross-section of people? This is why mass email has become less and less reliable as a marketing tactic over time. Whiteboard is built around not doing that very specifically. It's built around the inverse. We want to help you automate your one-to-one communications. When the appraisal comes in, you're not telling all of your clients and all of your partners in the world that an appraisal just came in, right? You're telling that client, that partner, that specific appraisal came in just now. So everything is relational. Everything's one-to-one. There's a newsletters functionality if you're interested in doing one-to-many. But guys, the playbook, the campaigns, they're all about automating what you're already doing over and over and over and over. We've taken those, made them best practices, and systematized them, right? So that you don't have to worry about letting 5 people know with 5 different emails that an appraisal just came in. We can do it automatically. But don't confuse that with one-to-many email. There's plenty of tools out there on the market that are less expensive than Whiteboard that do one-to-many email as a focused goal. We're not very good at it because that's not what we're meant to do. We do have newsletters. Again, I want to mention that. Ask your success coach about them. We do have newsletters for instances where you want to do newsletters where it is one-to-many. But even then, we developed it in such a way that helps you target specific subsets of your audience to make sure you're not sending a partner-centric newsletter to borrowers. Okay, so ask your coach about that if you're interested in one-to-many marketing sort of things. Ours is all about the transactional, though. The playbook helps you do the transactional stuff automatically and efficiently and professionally without ever dropping a ball. And it does so by actively listening to those form fields, right? We talked about all I do is click one thing in the drop down or click one checkbox and hit save, and I'm finished. As a user, I'm done until a task comes up, and then I just go do the task, right? You never need to go to the campaign to do stuff unless you're making changes to the campaign. And if that's the case, then that's great. As long as you've got the permissions to do it, you know what you're doing, that's awesome. If you have trouble doing that, if that's going to be a key thing for you, then holler at us, let us know. But remember that what's there right now is very much built off of years of experience and working with some very much top producers. So our recommendation, if you feel the need to customize and to vet what's in the playbook, is frankly to turn it on. Turn it on, let it run. You're going to get some replies to emails, and someone's going to be like, hey, thanks, I have a question about something. And when you look at the original email you sent, you're going to say every now and then, you know, that doesn't sound like me. That's not my voice. I would have never said this thing. And so if that's the case, easy to edit. And frankly, if there's an inaccuracy, we want to know about it so that we can fix it for future customers. But it's really easy to edit after the fact. But there's no reason you shouldn't benefit from the automation immediately. and get out of your spreadsheets. So let's take a moment to talk about Whiteboard Mobile, probably about 5 minutes here or so. Coming soon is on the screen, and that is a very legit, real thing. In fact, I'll give you a bit of a tease. I'm going to, on my phone here, open it up and just show it to you to make sure you know that it's real, right? This is me logged into the Whiteboard app, and if I tap birthdays, it's loading up there the 3 people who have birthdays in my Whiteboard environment right now. But that was terrible, so I'm going to show you some nicer screenshots. Also, by the way, taken directly off of my personal phone. I happen to have a Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, so that's what I used as a little surround here. That's obviously not my hand. But these screenshots are real from the production product. These aren't like photoshopped. These are real coming off of my particular phone. Now, what Whiteboard Mobile is going to help you do and not going to help you do, let's talk about that. It's very focused around those 3 keys of daily use, right? Accessing and interacting with your contacts and mortgages. So you'll be able to log in from here and go look up, I don't know, Bobby Middleton, we've got on the screen there, or Bob Lazema, or a mortgage, or a partner, or whatever, with Bob in the title. Works just like the search at the top of Whiteboard. You'll be able to accomplish your tasks. So you'll be able to log in and say, well, I need to make this phone call because it's been 4 days since a new lead came in and I need to make that phone call. So the tasks that the campaign we were just looking at, are those tasks that it's generating, are being served up to you both in the product as well as here mobily. And of course, if you accomplish it in one of those places, it's also accomplished in the other. You don't have to double do. You'll be able to create new clients, new partners, new tasks from here. And the texting that we've looked at, you'll be able to do that from within here as well. So this is going to help you get texting conversations into the CRM without having to go to a web browser to do it. You'll be able to send text back and forth from directly within the software. So this is the home screen, and you can kind of see that it's a launching. This is the analogy to the dashboard we've looked at, where I can see my tasks, both due today and overdue, and my birthdays, and I can search. Here's where I can add some records, add a task, add a client, and all the same functionalities there as in the full web version, in that I can create records on the fly that then my team back at the office can interact with. And I can have those texting conversations. And again, from a compliance point of view, I just want to again state how important we feel it is that you'll now have your texting conversations right there, living automatically in line chronologically along with everything else in the notes. So that's it for mobile. We should have that out before the end of March. We're really excited about it. It'll evolve, of course. There will be things in the early days that it won't do, especially where the administration side comes from. You're not going to be creating campaigns. You're not going to be building content, the sort of stuff we've covered today. You're not going to be doing a lot of that stuff on mobile. It isn't the right tool for it. You want to be sitting at a computer at a desk for doing that sort of work. Maybe down the road we'll tackle that, but frankly, I would expect the mobile app is going to focus on the big 3 keys for success. Now, one more pivot. The last thing that was on our agenda for today was lead automation. So we've got clients all over the country, and we've got clients of all types. Some folks want to type things in manually. We want to help you automate everything that is automatable, okay? So on screen here, you can see just a few examples. If you don't see one that you are using right now, then let us know. If you're using OpCity, for example, I happen to know that we just recently helped people get OpCity leads into Whiteboard automatically as well. So I should update this slide with OpCity's name. But Boomtown, Homes.com, LeadPoint, LeadPops, we don't necessarily have direct integrations, as it were, with all these folks, but they all have the ability to throw leads, and we have the ability to catch them, right? For a quick sports analogy, if they can throw it, we can catch it. We speak all those languages. We also host internally a tool that you may or may not have heard out in the industry called Zapier. You might have also heard it called Zapier. The people at Zapier say Zapier, so I try to say Zapier. But Zapier is a workflow automation tool that turned out to be really, really, really useful down this road, but we don't expect you to learn how to do it, right? It's out of bounds for what we should rightfully expect an LO to know how to do. And so we created a commercial Zapier account, and we just tell you, hey, if you want to get information in from Boomtown, then provide us your username and password, and we'll set it up, right? Your Boomtown username and password, and we'll set it up, we'll host it, we'll troubleshoot it in the event something goes wrong. So if there's a lead source or some sort of data source, it doesn't have to be leads, but if there's information living outside of Whiteboard that you want to automate populating inside of Whiteboard, then please get with your success coach on that. Let's talk about it in detail, and I bet you we can probably get it in. If they can throw it, we can catch it. To that end, I want to show you an example of that happening live. I'm going to take a moment here and jump over to a different test environment where I have a nice little example of this set up. Okay, so use your imagination for a moment here. This simple little form with a first name, last name, email address, and phone number. This simple little form is an example that's supposed to take the place of, say, your Zillow form or your own lead capture form on your own website. Everyone out there probably has on their website some sort of form that allows a potential borrower to put in information, and then give them their phone, give you their phone number and hit submit. And you're probably right now getting an email with that submission and then following up with a cell phone call, right? That's something similar to that, I would bet. And then you're typing that information into a spreadsheet or into your old CRM or whatever, what have you. But it all starts with the borrower putting their information in. Now, what I want to do is get it into Whiteboard. So I'm going to I'm going to pick someone from the past here. Let's do Buzz Aldrin, right? So does Buzz exist right now in my Whiteboard environment? Okay, the answer is no. No results have been found. So I'm not cheating. So if my name's Buzz and I'm at your website and I'm typing in my information and I want to get Apollo 11 at tranquilitybase.gov. All right, and I pop my phone number in. So I'm Buzz Aldrin. I'm looking for a home mortgage, and I've landed on your website. I'm giving you some basic information. It could be way more than this, but I'm giving you some information, and I hit submit, right? From Buzz's perspective, that's all that's happened, right? He's done. Now, from your perspective, what's happening? Well, back here in Whiteboard, I'm going to type in Buzz, and you'll see here, Buzz has appeared. So in that snap of a moment, there's Buzz's information populated into Whiteboard automatically. I didn't have to type it in. Buzz did all the typing for me, okay? Now, the lead campaign at this point, if this had mortgage data, then what we're doing for most of our customers is automating the creation of the actual mortgage, right? And so the lead campaign is out there, remember, actively listening. Is it a lead? Is it a lead? Is it a lead? And if it is, then that lead campaign is going to take over and email Buzz and text Buzz and email you and create a call task for you. So at this juncture, you have done literally zero work. You haven't had to do a thing, right? Buzz went onto your website, inputted information, Whiteboard automatically snagged it, put it in there, and if appropriate to the information being gathered, if appropriate, dropped it into the right campaign right away. That's automation, guys. That's what Whiteboard's going to be doing for you. So think about places that you have information outside of Whiteboard and what pieces of that you want to get into Whiteboard, and then let's talk about those with your coach so that we can get that stuff automated for you. That's it for today, guys. So make sure you register for Friday's webinar. We'll have another link in there, and this is going to be yet another kind of logistics sort of conversation. So if some of these topics don't look relevant to your role, if you're an LOA or a processor, then it might not be valuable for you to be here on Friday. But if you're an administrator or an owner or the LO, him or herself, that would probably be valuable for you to be here. We're going to be covering things like how Whiteboard licensing works, because likely, there's a particular path that our clients follow. They have some number of people who they start with, and then over time, because they're finding greater success, they'll hire folks and they'll need to get licensing. So I want you to understand how Whiteboard licensing works. I want you to know what's included with your Whiteboard subscription, as well as with your success coaching, so that you're not surprised if we say, hey, we can absolutely, totally, completely do that custom thing you want, but it's going to be a paid professional service. I want to help you understand where that line is. And then I want to handle any questions you have. I've got maybe 5 to 10 minutes worth of content here, and then we're going to want to talk about your questions. So Friday can be an open mic or open chat, stump the chump, where I'm the chump, sort of session that we try to answer any questions that you have lingering about using Whiteboard on a daily basis, what's possible, what's not possible, whatever's been bugging you. And then finally, next steps, making sure that you stay with stay the goal here, stay the path, and stay the course. That's the term. Stay the course and get and get rolling in Whiteboard. I've heard it said very accurately that the best CRM is the one you use. And guys, Whiteboard's amazing. It's really good. That's why you bought it. But it's useless if you don't use it. It doesn't do anything if you don't use it. If you don't provide those triggering actions, if you don't fill out the forms, if you don't put information in, then it can't do anything for you. And you're left back with your spreadsheets, back with your sticky notes, and back, pulling hair out. So let's not allow that to happen. Finally, if you haven't booked a session with your success coach, I've got their links at the bottom. So please do that. And let's be talking about your lead sources. Let's be talking about any custom needs you might have. Let's be talking about ways to get Whiteboard into action, getting your funded data and your partner data and so on into Whiteboard so that you can start using it. Right, that data is useless sitting in a spreadsheet. And that's it. We are done for today. I want to thank you all for your rapt attention. I appreciate your time. We appreciate your partnership. I'm so excited that we're working with you guys, and wish you the absolute best. Want to real quickly again remind you, if you're having any kind of trouble, I want to remind you how to get in touch with our team. I went too fast. From within Whiteboard, click support. Our contact support section right here helps you get in touch with our team. Need to add or remove a user? There are forms right here that you can select. But if you just need to give us a quick phone call or shoot us an email, this is where it lives. So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. We wish you the absolute best. We can't wait to work with you for years and years to come.